Gonna start recording. Good. Um, so I just wanted to share kind of a cute, I don't know if it's cute, I have a story. Um, I was talking with somebody and he was talking about trying to date again. And he's just really finding it frustrating how like we're kind of getting into like our 30s and a lot of people who have like expectations about where they want dating and relationships to take them, like folks who are looking to like get married and have families and stuff. It's like it's driving me insane. There's like all of this pressure. Like I meet somebody and they're trying to figure out right away if we're just wasting each other's time. And I don't know anything about them yet. And I don't know how to answer these questions when I don't know to whom I'm even speaking and how I should be expressing myself and communicating about this. And I was like, I don't understand how, even if you have somewhere that you're going, acting in a, if you're acting the right way in the path to get there, I don't understand how you could waste your time. And he's like, yeah, like if you learn something, then it's okay. I said, I don't even think that you have to learn something about every moment. Like sometimes there just really isn't a lot of new groundbreaking information in an experience, but if you have joy there and you're present there, and maybe even ideally if you can make somebody else's experience more positive because you were a part of it, like that's, you can't waste that. We can't like have that be irrelevant. It's like, I always say like, a bad yoga practice isn't really a bad yoga practice. Like, oh, I wasn't as flexible today, or I didn't get this pose right, or my balance was all wonky. It's still worth doing yoga if you were there and you were a part of it. Like a bad meditation is not like a wasted meditation. It was an experience. Perhaps an experience that helps us to appreciate the days when meditation goes well, or half moon goes perfectly, or whatever it is. But it is when we are most present that we do experience the most joy and hopefully feel the very least bit of wasteful of our time as possible. So we'll start with face brushing. Take your index finger and your thumb together and bring that to the center of your forehead. Brush outwards towards your temples a few times. And then going from the sides of your nose out to your temples, along your cheekbones. And from the temples down to your chin, along your jawline. From the sides of your nose down to your chin on your lap lines, may they be forever deepening, and that's how you know you are not wasting any of your time. And then taking your fingertips underneath and behind your ears and feeling for the soft spot and then the bony spot that's up above that. And as you get a little bit more lift up into your spine, try to keep that as you rest your hands then down into your lap. Take a few deep breaths, tuning into the sensations that come up as you sit and you breathe. Maybe seeking some joy or pleasantness in what you're doing. I find the sensation of breath to be very pleasing. Maybe you're just happy to take a break from whatever else you've been doing today. Choosing something about this next hour that you can focus on to know that you are wasting absolutely none of it. And then take a nice big breath in through your nose. Exhale through the mouth. Again, like that. for 3 ohms. And then if you've been sitting cross-legged, start to make a shift so that you no longer have your legs folded into each other. If you've been in something like this so far, you'll just stay there. We're going to take a little side bend, reaching up and over through your left arm. And then as you exhale, you're going to curl inwards and then drop your hand down towards the opposite knee. And then take your right arm and you're going to reach it up and over. Keep holding onto your knee here. And as you take your next exhale, you're going to kind of curl forward and then take your hand to your opposite knee. And then keep unwinding, reaching over, softening in, crossing the arms. Just keep like weaving through the upper back, a little bit of twist, a little bit of side bend, moving with your breath. So exhale, cross the arm over, inhale, reach the other arm up. Exhale, cross it over, inhale, reach up and around. I'll do that about 2 more times each side. I think we started with that left arm going over. So next time you get to the right arm, let's go ahead and come back down into the middle, uncross yourself, and then you're going to hold onto your shins and start stirring your torso around. So you kind of rock around in your hips a little bit, just kind of loosening up around those hip joints a bit more. And then start to roll in the other direction. And after a few rolls in your second direction, start to settle yourself back into the middle. You might scoot your feet a little bit closer to you if you have that space. And then start to lean your heart forward, not worrying about a really big fold, just coming on in, softening your lower back. We're going to be doing a lot of hip work and some gentle twists to release the lower back space today. One more big breath in. Big breath out. And start to lift yourself back up. You're going to come down onto our backs. If you've got anything that you've had underneath your hips, go ahead and set that off to your side. And then come down onto your back. Bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little rock around, letting your back meet the floor. Maybe a little massage is going on here. And after you've taken a few moments to let the body settle, you're going to set the left foot down. Go ahead and leave the left leg bent. You might even push down a little bit in your left foot. So you can kind of tuck your pelvis up towards your body. So it's almost like your tailbone is starting to reach upwards rather than lengthening down. So you just a little bit of crunch in the hips. One more round of breath like this. Finish your exhale. You can relax that tuck of your hips and then try to draw that left leg back in and then set your right foot down, leaving it bent, and then starting to tuck the hips up towards you, maybe feeling your tailbone float up, the pelvis curls up towards your torso, the leg The left leg gets a little bit closer. Take another full round of breath like this. And then you're going to take your right leg, tuck it up towards you, and you'll set your left foot down. See if you can slide that left foot out a little bit longer. And you could leave it bent and flex your foot. You might change to holding the back of your thigh if that gives you more space, but try to make that left leg as long as possible and feel that foot pressing out so you open up the front of your left hip. Big breath in. Don't worry about how close the right leg gets. Just let yourself exhale. And then you're going to tuck your left leg in. We'll slide it up and then bring your left knee in next to your right. And then we'll take your right leg and start to extend it out, pressing the sole of the foot forward as much as you're able to. It could be more here. And you're still getting some open space. You could let that left leg get further away from you if you need to. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then take your right leg, tuck it back in. This is some of our core work today, so I'm intentionally having us put the legs one by one through each of these poses. So go ahead and slide that left leg out. You could have it bent a little bit more if that's more comfortable to you, but you're going to hold on to your right knee with your right hand, put your left hand on your left hip, and then guide that right knee up to the outside of your armpit. So a little bit more open in the front of the hips, trying to keep that left hip down. Big breath in. Breathing out. And then you're going to bring the right knee to the center, tuck that left leg up, and start to slide the right leg out, bringing it just as long as is comfortable to you. It doesn't have to be as long as the last shape if that feels better to you. And then your knee is going to come up by your shoulder. Your right hand stays on your right hip. We're opening that leg out to the side, keeping the right hip down. One more round of breath. And then left leg back to the center, right leg tucks in, and then last one each side. Go ahead and slide your left leg out just as much as is comfortable to you, and then you're going to guide the right leg across the body, coming into a twist. I like to rest my foot on my thigh bone. You can take that or leave it. Maybe you reach your right arm out to the side. Let your breath soften your belly. Every exhale, find something to relax. Take another breath in and another breath out. And then start to lift yourself back up and come back to the middle. And then take that left leg, tuck it in. Take that right leg, slide it out. And then you'll take the left leg across the body, finding a twist. Foot on the right thigh if that works for you. Left arm open. Just stretch out your chest just as much as it's comfortable for you. Every exhale, soften the belly. Another round of breath. And then bring yourself back to the center. I'm going to tuck the right leg in. And then start to make some circles around with your knees to massage the lower back. Make your circles go around the other way. And start to rock yourself up to a seat. We're going to come onto our knees for just one move on each side. So come up onto your hands and knees. Make sure that you pad yourself up if you could use some assistance there. And when you get yourself up, you're going to bring your right foot outside of your right hand. And then soften your heart forward and down. You might walk your hands further forward if that works for you. If you are able to communicate with your body like this, try to relax your right thigh back a little bit. So instead of having it out to the side, it's kind of settling your right thigh bone towards the back of your hip. You can bend your elbows if you've got that space. I'm going to be here for about 3 more breaths. And then start to lift yourself back up if you've softened your heart down. You're going to turn the right knee and right toe out to the side and kind of wiggle it back a little bit. And you're going to come down to sit on your left hip. And turn yourself over, extend that bottom leg. Go ahead and relax into this bottom shoulder or this outside shoulder if that feels okay. I'm just going to stretch out this hip. Try not to sit too far back in this top hip and keep it lifted up. You should get a nice side body stretch all the way along through the side of the torso. This foot might have to move. That's okay. Find a good place to put it. One more round of breath. And then go ahead and take your right leg, slide it back. We're going to come over onto our hands and knees. I'm just going to shift this way. And you'll take your left foot forward outside of the left hand, giving it however much adjustment that you need in order to come there. You might bring your hands forward a bit. You might not. You might bend the elbows and drop your heart down. You might not. Give yourself as much space as you are able to, as much as feels reasonable today, softening your heart forward and down. And see if you can relax your left thigh bone back towards your right foot. One more round of breath. Start to walk your hands back. You're going to walk your left foot back, turn the knee and the toe out, and come down to sit on the outside of your right hip. Make your right leg as straight as you can. You want to try to stack the hips if you can. You might need to move this foot. It's okay to rest in the shoulder here, although not usually. I just want to kind of let this side of the torso kind of hang down like a hammock, really getting stretched out and releasing down towards the floor. Good. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then you're going to release so that you're on your seat. I'm trying to come up. Long legs, lifting the toes. You can bend your knees if that's going to give you a little bit more support. And you can keep your hands down by your sides to give you a little bit more lift, or try to reach your arms out in front of you. You want to think of your inner thighs lifting up in the middle. That might even help lift your spine a little bit more. And as you take your next exhale, you're going to open the right arm, stay stacked in the spine so my heart is right up above my hips, and then you're going to relax your belly to maybe get a little bit more twist. One more exhale. Inhale, face towards the front. And then you're going to exhale, soften the belly and twist over towards the left, keeping the heart right up above your hips. Maybe on your exhale, you can twist a little bit deeper. And then come back towards the center, breathe in. And exhale, relax. We're going to swing the legs back behind, come down to laying on your belly. Oh, come down to child's pose. We're going to snake the hips back here. The hips don't have to be right at your heels, but you'll bring them back just as much as it works in your body. You might bring the arms a little bit wider if that feels better. Try to rest your forehead down. Maybe you even grab a block or a pillow and put that underneath your forehead. And then you're going to curl your tailbone down towards your toes. Even if your tailbone's nowhere near your toes, you've got a little bit of this curling down towards the floor. 2 more breaths. And then look up, look forward, lift yourself up onto your hands and knees. Line up your legs maybe a little bit closer than they were. Try to lower slowly down onto your belly. It's fine if you don't give yourself that much of a challenge. And, wiggle your shoulders around a little bit, maybe snuggle them back so your heart is more open. Might even wiggle your legs back a little bit. Let's come up cobra pose and stay there for just a moment. Try not to come up so far that you pinch your lower back. Can you focus more on really reaching that heart forward? So if you find any points of tension, can you think of relaxing them a little bit? If that drops your chest a little bit, then think of reaching the chest forward. One more round of breath. Exhale, softening down. And then pushing yourself back up to your hands and knees. You might even come right up on a fingertip so that you have more space to step your feet outside of your hands. So come up into a little squat here. Try to release your hips back. Maybe you bring your hands up to your heart. You might hold your hands on your thighs to have a little bit more support. Just make sure you aren't drawing those knees in. Big breath in. Big breath out. Draw your belly in. Stand yourself up. And then we're going to turn ourselves out wide, coming into a goddess squat or Buddha squat. So the feet are out fairly wide, but mostly it's toes open, knees are open. We're going to come down into this Buddha squat. Push into the pinky toe edges of your feet. You might feel your cheeks kind of rolling down to expand the lower back, and then open your arms. I like to think in this Buddha squat of the happy fat Buddha who's clearly abundant in many things, including joy and cookies or whatever it is, sweets that the Buddha has enjoyed, that the Buddha has become full of. May we be full of all good, joyful things. One more exhale. And then straighten your legs. You're going to turn the heels back so that the legs are out nice and wide and come into a forward fold. You can stop with your hands at your shins. You can bend your knees. You can take your hands to the floor or to a block. Then you're going to start to relax your torso in. And then ever so gently, see if you can imagine reaching your tailbone a little bit more up towards the ceiling. And you might do that very slowly. It might not feel like it's cooperating very well. Any of that is okay. Just see what happens as you work through that intention. One more round of breath. And then you're going to feel strong in your feet, little bend in the knees, bring the hands up to your hips and lift yourself all the way up to standing. We're going to shift into warrior one on the right side. So go ahead and turn yourself over to the right. Make sure that you've got that little bit of space right to left in between your legs, and then bend into that right leg. Reach your arms up. And feel the fronts of your hips reaching up. So you get just a little bit more space in the front of your body without pinching the lower back. Big breath in. Exhale, take your hands down to your hips. Stretch the front leg so 2 legs are straight. And then start to lean the heart forward and release your right hip back towards the left foot. So you square the hips a little bit more. Not a long stay. One more exhale. Lift your belly in, come to stand up, and then you're going to open yourself out wide again into warrior two. So have a little bit of bend in the front leg, arms are out, back toes are turned in. And then reach yourself forward, come down onto the elbow. This time, don't sink into your shoulder. You want to lift up, and then take the top arm up and over. Let your belly soften in. One more inhale, Stay as you exhale. And then lift yourself back up. Straighten your leg for a moment. Give yourself a break from that lunge. And then go ahead and come back to that lunge, bend into the knee. Make sure that your knee and your toe all face the same way. We're gonna reach forward again, but just a little bit, and then you're gonna switch your arms. So instead of having your right arm forward, you wanna bring your left arm forward and your right arm back. So I'm starting to twist forward. I'm gonna put the right hand on the right hip. Go ahead and put your left hand on your left thigh, but don't let it pull the leg in. And then you're gonna look forward in the direction of your right toes, or maybe over towards the right a little bit more. Soften your belly. One more exhale. And feel your belly join in as you come all the way back up. Unwind yourself, straighten the leg, turn the toes forward for a moment, and then start shifting over towards the left. So we're gonna start with warrior one, which means you have to kind of adjust your feet, do a little dance to get there. Back toes are up, front leg is bent, arms reach up. And you wanna think of the lift in your torso coming from these lower abs. So it's the front of your hips that are lifting up, hopefully giving a little bit more space in the low back. So if you let the front of the hips dip forward, it kind of pinches the space. Lifting the front of the hips will tend to give us a little bit more room back here. So see how that works for you. One more breath in. And exhale, release the hands down to your hips. Straighten your front leg. Try to keep the legs as straight as you can. Lean the heart forward. Rest that left hip back towards your right foot. You're not trying to fold yourself over on the front leg so much as that you're trying to get a hamstring stretch and keep your spine long. One more exhale. Draw your belly in, come to stand yourself back up. We're gonna open ourselves out into warrior two. So coming back into that even line, one line that your feet are on, bend into the left leg, open the arms. And then reach out over that leg, make sure it doesn't move, elbow goes down, stay out of the shoulder joint, reach that right arm up and over, soften your belly in and feel a nice stretch behind your shoulder blade, ears out of your shoulders. One more round of breath. Draw your belly in, stand yourself back up, straighten your leg, give it a break from that lunge. And then bend back into the leg, make sure that your knee and your toes are in line, and then we'll reach forward a little bit, and then switch the arms so that the right arm comes forward and the left arm comes back. Put the left hand on your hip, the right hand on your thigh without pulling the thigh in, and then look forward, softening your belly. You're already twisting here. You can deepen the twist, starting with looking over more towards your left. We are trying to rest the left hip back towards the right foot still, which is really stinking hard to do here. One more breath out. Draw your belly in, unwind yourself, come back to face towards the front. We're going to turn the toes forward. And then see if you can move your feet, heels in, and toes in, and heels in, and toes in, and do like a little tap dance. Just trying to work your way back to having your feet in and under you. And we'll take eagle pose as our standing balance today. So if you wanted to come here, something to hang on to, this would be the time. Go ahead and take your left leg, cross it over your right leg, squeeze your thighs together as you press both hips back. You can leave the toes on the ground or lift them up. It's up to you. Having the toes down to touch can be nice. And keep squeezing the thighs together to take the hips back. Yeah. And then right arm on top of left, so opposite arm on top. And then you're going to relax your elbows down and forward and soften your belly and your tailbone back. Good. Elbows down and forward, belly and tailbone back. Strong on that right foot, standing up strong on the right. One more exhale. Then unwind yourself. Go ahead and set both feet down, so the feet are just down right under your hips. Reach your arms up and lift the front of your hips to lift your heart and fingertips up higher. So not bending into the low back, lifting up longer in the front. One more inhale. Exhale, hands come on down. And then eagle pose on the other side. So you'll take your right leg up and over. And then bend into your knees, sit your hips back, squeeze those inner thighs together to send the pelvis back behind you. And then the opposite arm goes on top. And you reach your elbows down and forward. Belly goes back, tailbone goes back. Steady in your breath as much as you can. Steady in that left foot. Let it support you. Let it drive down into the earth. One more exhale. Unwind your arms, unwind your legs, come to standing in Tadasana, extended mountain pose, Utthita Tadasana, or Urdhva Hastasana. Reach those arms up, reach the fronts of your hips up. One more big breath in, and hands come down to your heart. Step the feet out a little bit wider. Come into another squat. If you want to come down into the squat where your hips are down close to the ground, or you just do sit your hips in the ground, you can do that. Or we'll come into this more half squat. It's kind of more like a sumo start kind of thing. Hips go back. Try to push into the pinky toe edges of your feet. Feel that outer thigh line getting stronger. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then you're going to come down to a seat. You can get up, or you can keep working your way down there. Coming down until you are down on your bum with the legs out. Maybe not super wide, but come out as wide as is reasonable at this point. We're going to do one legged fold, some other stuff, and we'll come back here in a moment. So this doesn't need to be your big piece de resistance of folds. And if your hands going in front of you is no good, leave your hands back here and give your torso a little boost, your spine some lengthening upwards. This can feel like a lot, or maybe you do take your hands forward. Just trying to find softness. Big breath in. Big breath out. Walk yourself back up. You're going to take your legs, go ahead and bend them, and you're going to turn both knees over towards the right. So we come into this kind of pinwheel shape. We'll come into swan. So you want to walk your body out over your right shin and then soften your belly. Let yourself curl inwards. Let your heart melt down towards your leg as much as you're able to. One more breath in. Big breath out. Start walking your hands back up. I'm just going to take the knees, go ahead and turn them up and then over towards the left. So you come again into this pinwheel shape. And then this swan is where you rest your body forward over your left shin. Softening yourself inwards, just letting the stretch come, letting the sensations come. One more round of breath. And starting to lift yourself back up. We're going to turn these legs up, and then you're going to take your right leg and fold it in. And then take your left leg and you're either going to tuck it in like so or cross it over your leg. And it's going to depend on whether or not this is going to work for you. This kind of goes on where your hips and how your knees are feeling today. Do try to have this bottom leg tucked in if it works for you. You want to hug onto your left thigh and then soften your belly into a twist. So this might be a way that you can take that two-legged folded in twist, or this way. More exhale. I'm just trying to get a lot of external rotation in the legs, so it might stimulate a deeper twist. One more breath out. And then release your twist. If you had the leg crossed over, uncross it. I'm going to draw that right leg back up, and then you're going to turn that leg down so you can see I'm rotating out in the thigh. And then this leg is it is rotated out a little bit. You could do it deeper by taking it up and over. And then you're going to twist over towards that right side. Whether you've got the leg crossed over or it stays over here, you can still kind of pull that leg in and feel some space on the outer thigh. One more breath out. And releasing your twist, unwinding the leg if you had it wound, and then you're going to bring both legs in and extend them out. And we'll go into that forward fold again. You might leave the hands behind you. You might take them forward. You might walk a lot forward than you did before, a lot further forward. But most of all, focus on relaxing that lower back, really finding a lot of space, a lot of squishy, expansive sensations back there, allowing this turning inwards, allowing this forward fold. One more round of breath. Then walking your hands back in, you're going to take the legs in, bringing the feet together, the knees out wide, coming again into bound angle in this cobbler's pose, coming over this diamond shape, folding inwards, trying to keep the spine relatively long, but it doesn't have to stay totally straight. Again, finding that space, that softness in your lower back. One more breath. And starting to lift yourself up. I'm going to bring the legs in, planting the feet with the hands behind your back. We're going to come up onto fingertips and then let your heart lift up and forward, giving a little stretch to the front of the chest and the front of your shoulders. Balancing with a gentle heart opener. One more inhale, let your heart float up. And as you exhale, let the heart fall back a bit. We'll start to come down onto our back. If you want to have anything handy when you get down there, maybe something you know you'll want in Shavasana, go for it. Come on down, let your back relax into the floor, just kind of submitting to gravity. Resting, settling, maybe wiggling about a bit if that's helpful in that pursuit. And then open your knees up and take happy baby, reaching up for your feet or holding onto your ankles. Sometimes taking peace fingers around the big toes is fun. Although the pelvis will lift up, Can you not try to actively tuck it up? Can you relax and let your pelvis be heavy? And it'll just go where it will. It is how it is. One more breath in. One more breath out. And releasing your feet, you're going to go ahead and set them down. And what you might do is just open your right knee out to the side and let this inner thigh open that way. You can take both knees out to the side. If that becomes really tender on your pelvis, don't worry about keeping both legs open. You can spend just a little bit of time with the one leg open and then working to the other side. And this might not feel like a lot. It can be gentle in its sensation, or maybe it does feel like a lot. You're just like, I'll stay here, thank you. Well, if you've been only on one side, just give yourself another breath. And then if you need to switch to the other side, go ahead and do that. Sometimes having both legs out, it can be helpful just to rest the fingertips at the outsides of your thighs. It's just a little bit of encouragement and support so that the legs don't open up more than you are reasonably comfortable with. One more round of breath. And come back to the center. We're going to tuck the knees back up into the chest. Cross your right ankle over your left ankle. Try to reach outside the legs to hold onto your shins or your feet, depending on what's available to you. If that feels really good, or if you want to get a little bit more, you could cross your thighs and then reach up and hold the outsides of your shins or your ankles or whatever's there. And if that seemed crazy, then you go back to crossing the ankles instead. One more breath. Releasing your legs, wrapping up then the left ankle over the right ankle, or taking the thighs and crossing them a little bit higher on the legs, a little bit deeper, work into the rotation in the hips. It's up to you exactly where you'd like to go with this. One more breath. And release that twist. Back to the center, knees just drawing together. Open your arms and roll those knees over towards the right side. Maybe push a little bit in the back of the right arm to release the right shoulder open. You can look up or over towards the left. Softening the belly a little bit more every time you exhale. One more round of breath. And then start to move over towards the other side, finding a similar feeling twist. Of course, legs can be as far away from you as you need to, or tucked in nice and tight, depending on how the spine and the hips are feeling. Try to press a little bit into the back of the left arm to help open the front of the right shoulder. Look up or over towards the right, depending on how your neck feels about it. One more round of breath. Soften with your exhale. And come back to the center, setting the feet down, letting the knees knock against each other. And rest your arms by your sides, or maybe place your hands on your belly. A little snuggle of the shoulder blades together underneath the heart can help that space open up more. You're welcome to rest here, to extend your legs, to take a seated meditation, maybe to plop up on a chair or something if that feels more supportive on your body.
come to a place where you feel at ease, where you are able to be present with your breath, to be soft in your skin. Rest very, very well. As you take some deeper breaths and come back into your body, follow any desires for small movements that help you to wake up. Maybe you reach your arms over your head at some point, giving yourself a nice good morning stretch, like it's a new start to your day. And then roll over to one side, turning inwards in a moment of gratitude for your practice and for the opportunity to have this time together. And coming up to your own version of a comfortable seat, bringing your hands together at your heart, sitting however it makes sense for you. We seal our practice, releasing an Om together. Big breath in. Bowing down to the love and light that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Have good days. Have a good week. I'll see you again.
I'll see you Monday.
Sounds good. I'll be here.
Have a good one.
You too.